We're starting off with the one and only Spider-Man cocktail. We have to make him first, obviously. He's had so many renditions at this point, it's crazy. I actually do think Insomniac's is one of the best. Probably my only complaint is that he honestly isn't that funny. I don't know if it's because you're spending, 10, 20 hours with him throughout the game, but his quips just aren't all that. They make me cringe instead of the bad guys. Other than that, I'm loving the new game so far. Let's make this drink. So the idea behind this one is that we're making a Long Island style cocktail because, New York, all that jazz, Spider-Man City. Except we're gonna twist it up and we're gonna make it a little bit more sour, a little bit more energized, and a little bit more fun, which is essentially what Spider-Man is. I don't know how to make a cocktail funny, or I would. So here's what we're gonna need. We're gonna need rum, gin, tequila, vodka, and sour cherry schnapps to get it started. That's what we need on the liquor front. And we are going to do 3/4 ounce of each of these spirits and then a full ounce of sour cherry. And despite it being a Long Island, we're gonna be classy today. We are going to measure out our liquor for the least classy drink around. Most of you guys know my opinion on gin. I love it in the right cocktail. This is not the right cocktail, but in the spirit of sticking to a traditional Long Island, we're putting it in there. A little bit of tequila. And in case you didn't remember, we're doing that full ounce of sour cherry. This is genuinely one of my favorite liquors. It's so good. It's bright red. I love red 40. And it's pretty sour. That's why I really, really like it. Now, instead of doing sour mix, we're gonna keep it a little bit classier. We're gonna do half of a lemon and half of a lime. And we'll just set those aside because we're gonna use those in our other drinks later. Always freshly squeezed, guys, except when you don't want to. Time for our ice, and we shake. Strain that beautifully. Now we did class up this Long Island a little bit. I love shaking my Long Islands. I think you should shake citrus. Again, unless you don't want to. And the final ingredient here, we are going to do Ultra Blue Monster. This is a citrus flavored monster. It's so good, it's a little bit hard to find, but it is worth finding. It's so delicious, and it's so much better than Coke, Sprite, anything else you could top a Long Island with. It's not looking that blue. Might not have had enough sugar in it, because this is definitely blue. Oh, that is delicious though, so we don't care. You know how we're gonna make up for that? Let's float in a little bit of blue carousel. See if we can't just get that to sit on top. You know what? I love that. I think that gradient's beautiful, and I think we have a beautiful Spider-Man cocktail. The drink's here. Now it's time to make sure it actually tastes good. Let's stir this and make, probably a mess. And time to try our Spider-Man Long Island. I'm getting like a sweet tart taste to it because I put half of a lemon, half of a lime, and sour cherry in there. The Ultra Blue is sweet, right? But it's 0 sugar. So there's really not a whole lot of sugar in this cocktail besides from the sour cherry. That's generally it. I mean, this is a processed tequila. I guess there's some sugar in there, but it's a really good cocktail. It's well balanced. It's not too sweet, which is usually something you have to worry about with Long Islands, their Coke, their sour mix, which just ends up being a lot of sugar. Whereas this, you could probably comfortably drink, 2 or 3 of these, get your little blackout going, and have no worry about getting sick from the sugar. So I've definitely improved the Long Island in every way. I'm a little disappointed with the color. To fix that, I would probably do more sour cherry and drop the lemon and lime juice and maybe do some like orange bitters or something. I think that would be really good. There we are, that is our Spider-Man Long Island. So good. All right, so now we are making our next cocktail. This is gonna be the Webshooter, Spider-Man's iconic Webshooter, obviously is a reference here. And this one's pretty fun. We're just gonna do a shot because it's a shooter. Let's get into it. All right, so for this one, we're gonna need some corn syrup. This is purely for aesthetic. If you don't wanna be over the top like me, you don't have to do this. It's not gonna change the taste in the slightest, but we're gonna get some corn syrup. Then we add a little bit of white food coloring, which I didn't even know existed until I found it at Walmart a couple weeks ago. Now we mix that with the corn syrup, and as disgusting as it looks, I think it looks a lot like Spider-Man's web fluid, if you can kind of see there. Looks like some other things, but we're making a drink, guys. Okay, so now is where we need to layer. Do this carefully. We're gonna start with our first ingredient. We're doing Amaretti's Watermelon Beverage Infusion. This stuff is delicious. We're just gonna do a ½ ounce of that. Next, we're going to carefully layer in some vodka, about 1.5 ounces. All right, that is awesome. And now we are going to so carefully layer in, and you probably guessed it, blue carousel. Just about a ¼ ounce. And that looks sick. Now I'm gonna complete this with some Pop Rocks for that, tingling feeling, right? Spidey senses are tingling. Oh, and they layer perfectly on top of the watermelon infusion. That is amazing. So there you have it. This is Spider-Man's Webshooter. I think this is incredibly fitting. Fuck, I guess I'm gonna shoot this. I have a long day of filming. I have earned this. Well, we're just gonna mix that up a little bit, probably make a little bit of a mess here. Because all the watermelon's in the bottom, guys. Like, that's just the reality. With so many of my cocktails, I'm all about appearance and layering. That ends up being what they're all about. I'm all about using shitty vodka in cocktails. I think you should. I don't think spending money for your vodka and your cocktails is worth it, but I do think for the shot it might have made a difference. So wish me luck. I want to say I'm just gonna shoot like 2 ounces on an empty stomach. Cheers. That was actually delicious. Strong, but delicious. Wow. Okay, it's really refreshing. The watermelon clearly took over. The citrus from the blue carousel was just barely in there. I just swallowed those Pop Rocks whole. There's probably some popping going on in my stomach. You don't really get anything from those. They don't stick to your tongue or anything. I feel like you would have to throw this like whole bag of Pop Rocks in there if you wanted that. But like I said, the corn syrup was purely aesthetic. So honestly, a really fun shot. It's a web shooter, became a shooter. 10 out of 10 guys, make this one for sure. All right, moving on. We are doing the Spider-Verse Slinger. Now, no, technically Miles in this game has nothing to do with the Spider-Verse, but I have a good feeling, if not in the 3rd game, 4th game, we're gonna get some Spider-Verse content. So Spider-Verse Slinger, it is. This is a riff on the Singapore sling, a little bit more, I guess like darker and bolder, if you will, because we're gonna do a black cherry base with just a whole bunch of fruit flavors. So let's get started. I am keeping the base spirit as gin, as you know, some of you may be shocked by. We're gonna do 1.5 ounces of that. After gin, we're gonna do a 3/4 ounce of Cointreau. You could just use triple sec if you really wanted to, but we're being classy today. Cointreau. Cointreau, hit me up. You guys do have a pretty bottle. And finally, we're not doing Drambuie or anything like that, so we are doing another herbal liquor that I actually really like is this Cocalero Green. It's a little bit sweeter. You guys know me, I like sugar, so 1/2 ounce of this will be perfect. Now we'll do a 1/2 ounce of black cherry syrup. Let's do 2 ounces of pineapple juice. You know, I always talk about squeezing your citrus fresh. Does anyone squeeze pineapple juice fresh? I feel like it'd be the biggest waste of time in your life. And finally, let's do 3 to 5 dashes of Angostura bitters. I think everybody who makes cocktails has these at home. Now we add in our ice. Let's give that a good shake. Now that we have this shaken, we're gonna let it chill for a little bit because now we are going to rim our glass with Pop Rocks. Again, I really feel like Spider-Man, you got that Spider-Man, my senses are tingling. So we're gonna rim this with our white corn syrup. Now just regular simple syrup would be fine, but we have this here, so why waste it? And we're gonna sprinkle some of our Pop Rocks on this plate, and we are going to rim our glass with Pop Rocks. Perfect. Now we toss in some ice. This is my favorite thing, throwing ice in with my bare hands, because I think some bartenders take themselves too seriously, you know, using like tongs and everything. Bro, I'm the one drinking this. My hands are touching it. Who gives a shit? All right, let's strain this. And just before it's at the top, we are going to crack open Glitch Mix G Fuel. This is strawberry, lychee, and coconut. Lychee, whatever you want to call it. You can hear the Pop Rocks crackling for the spidey senses. I must admit, this is probably the best looking cocktail of the day. I really like using corn syrup for sugar because it sticks so well with other things. It's gonna start like dripping pretty quickly, whereas corn syrup is holding these Pop Rocks right on. Wow, okay. So if you've had a Singapore sling, you know it's a rather bold cocktail. And I think because we did a little bit more sugar with the black cherry, we went with a lighter herbal liqueur with the Cocalero. Also, I just ate a Pop Rock, so I feel like that is definitely picking up on the camera. Or on the mic. So I think because we used a lighter herbal liqueur, it's not as strong or as bold, it's just sweeter and fruitier, and the herbs are more playing with everything rather than being like a forward flavor. I think obviously using the Glitch Mix is a pretty strong choice because it already has strawberry, guava, and coconut in there. But it's so little, I think it's just refreshing, it's tropical, and it plays with everything so nicely. This is definitely the best drink so far, whatever I said about the Webshooter. It's fun, it's cool, but this is actually delicious and worth making. So let's let's go on before I finish this. Next up is Venom. Now this one is brutal, and I promise you that this is not for the faint of heart. This symbiote is killer. The bond is incredible. Let's make it. We're gonna start with a mini airhead, believe it or not. It has to be red for Venom's tongue. And what we're gonna do is actually cut this. So Venom's tongue is a little bit more like twisted and thin. Airhead's cool, but let's cut it. Okay, now check that out. That is amazing. There is Venom's tongue. As I was just telling you guys, it's not really like long like a real tongue. It's like disgusting, slimy. So we're gonna make this disgusting and slimy, and I'm gonna lick this airhead to get it to stick to the glass. Okay, that is sick. Like, I think there's no debate here. My creativity is unmatched. Whether my drinks are the best in the game is debatable, but my creativity, there is simply no one better on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on fucking Twitter that makes better cocktails than me. Now that we have our little airhead on there, let's continue making our drink. We're gonna load this up with triple sec. So the whole point of this shot is to be kind of disgusting, kind of sugary, hard to drink. We are going to do 1.5 ounces of triple sec. I know that doesn't sound great, but the sweetness is what causes the cream to curdle, which is what we're going for. We want this to be a gnarly looking shot. Now we're going to carefully layer about 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce of Irish cream. Let's go for the full 1/2 ounce. All right, and the layering's beautiful. All right, so now we're gonna do 1/4 ounce of blue curacao. I am gonna try and pour it in there and layer it a little bit. It's not gonna work. Blue curacao is way too full of sugar, but I do think it's worth not just dropping it in like we will with the black cherry. Oh, and we are using blue curacao because if anyone's read the Venom comics, he always has that blue tinge. Yeah, it's not really there in the games, but I still believe Venom has a little bit of blue on him. Oh, and that did layer perfectly. Now for our final trick here with Venom, we're gonna drop in about not even 1/4 ounce of black cherry syrup, and this is gonna complete the shot. Oh shit. Oh fuck, that looks absolutely gnarly. We have ourselves a disgusting symbiote here. Looks wise, this is insane. I think I nailed it with the, the little Venom tongue on here. We can twist that up if we really want to. And then I think for the symbiote, it's really fitting to do a curdled, disgusting shot. I guess it's time to shoot this, right? I don't really want to, but it's gonna be disgusting. I think curdled shots are a little bit overhated though, believe it or not. A cement mixer is very popular. It's just Irish cream and lime juice. It curdles in your mouth. You get all the curds from the citrus attaching to the cream. We didn't use that much citrus in here. We used a lot of sugar. Cheers, this is for Venom. Honestly, that was delicious. I think because we used triple sec rather than something like peach schnapps, this is sugary, but it's not on the same level as peach schnapps. Peach schnapps is just straight up sugar. We still got that amazing curdling effect without the insane amounts of sugar. I would honestly, I'd give this shot like a solid 7, 8 out of 10, which is, it doesn't sound that great, but for a curdled shot, that's about as high as it gets. I don't see how you can have something with cream and citrus and like sweet flavors that actually taste good and doesn't ruin the mouthfeel. A really good shot. If you're a fan of Venom, you simply have to make this one. I think the garnish alone is what sets this one apart. So let's move on. Let's make our final cocktail of the day. The final cocktail in this series is going to be for Kraven the Hunter. He's an absolute menace in this game, and really, without going too far in depth for those of you that haven't played it, he destroys pretty much everybody you thought he couldn't, and he does it off screen, which is bizarre, but he is destroying everybody. So he is a little bit goofier as a villain. I don't think he's that menacing, but he is strong. So we're kind of doing a tiki style cocktail with the strength of whiskey. So let's do it. All right, so first ingredient, we are going to do 1 ounce of whiskey. Use a whiskey that you don't love. Use something that's easy for mixing. I'm using AC/DC's blackened whiskey because it's gonna be delicious once it's mixed in and you can't really taste it because it was just really mediocre whiskey. And I have a banana whiskey, which is delicious. This is kind of the goofiness that comes in while still keeping that strong whiskey presence. If you can't find Ambros, Howlerhead is a good second choice, but my friends at Ambros are amazing, so. Let's add in some fresh basil. These leaves are huge, so we're just gonna do about 3 of these. You wanna get rid of the stems, you don't really want the chlorophyll in there. Or maybe you do, I don't know you. But I would say, you know, take the stems off. And I told you to save that lemon from earlier. We're gonna do juice from half of a lemon. Like a GMO lemon, so maybe a whole, you know, regular lemon. Because that's probably almost a full ounce. And finally, we are going to do half an ounce of simple syrup. I like my drinks a little bit sweeter. Use as much simple syrup as you'd like, or don't use any at all, depending on how sweet your banana whiskey is. We'll add in our ice. Give that a good shake. Now I have my glass full of crushed ice. Pour our cocktail over that. No need to double strain. A few basil leaves aren't gonna hurt you. For garnish, we're gonna do a nice dehydrated lemon on top and a beautiful basil leaf, if we can fit it in through all the crushed ice. As fun as the Venom shot is, as fun as the Webshooter is, this is the cocktail to order at a bar. Again, I was a little bit worried about using a banana whiskey. It is more like a liqueur. I think it's only 30% or so, but it's so delicious. Being over the crushed ice helps with that sweetness. And because, like I was saying, I used our giant, GMO lemon, I got a full ounce of lemon juice in there, and it's so acidic, but delicious. I love anything sour. This cocktail is definitely on the sour side. So it's mostly citrus and banana. And you get just a little bit of the herbalness. It's not a lot, despite using a ton of basil. I think overall, this cocktail it just works. It's tasty. It's balanced, but it's definitely more on the sour side of things. It's definitely not overwhelming. That's a delicious cocktail to end on. So there you have it, guys. That is 5 cocktails for the brand new Spider-Man game. If I had to rank them, I'm gonna put Craven number 1, I'm gonna put Venom number 2, Spider-Verse Slinger is number 3, the Webshooter is 4, and finally, the Spider-Man Long Island is going to be number 5. It was delicious. It was just not as good as the rest. It was just average, whereas the other were all above average. So there you have it, guys. 5 Spider-Man cocktails. I'll see you in the next video.